everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List, and this week we're already off to a good start. I've already finished a book, but other than that, we don't really have anything going on. I'm expecting another weekend of a crap ton of snow, which will hopefully mean a lot of reading. And I'm also hoping to make progress on the Count of Monte Cristo, because I didn't read or I didn't listen to much of it last week. So let's just get into it. Okay, so I am starting the vlog like a day late, but I was already so close to being finished with the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, because so I started it on Sunday and I read like 70 pages. And then Monday I read like 300. So yesterday I only had to read like, I think like 150 pages or something, like not very much. So I just kind of waited because I'm like, yeah, I'll be done. So the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook is the third book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And the series is essentially like, I keep describing it this way, so I'm sorry if it gets annoying, but I still feel like it's the most accurate description. It's like Hunger Games meets Dungeons and Dragons. So essentially, Earth is taken over. All of the all of the survivors are given an option to either like stay on the surface and try to survive. All the buildings and structures, by the way, have been destroyed, so surviving might be a little bit difficult. Or they can go into this dungeon system where they are competitors called crawlers who are just trying to survive. And if they make it to level 18, they get to be like the new ruler of Earth. However, that has never happened. I don't remember like what it said that like the furthest level a crawler got. I want to say it was like 12 or something. It wasn't even that close. So it's a very hard competition, but we're following Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat Donut, who he was watching while she was cheating on him. And so they entered the dungeon together, and then now they're both like they're on a team, they're working together. And yeah, so this was the third book. It was on the 4th level of the dungeon, and it was all about trains, which I thought was pretty cool. I thought it was really interesting. It was just trains and platforms and railways. And monsters, of course. But I was like, that's such an interesting environment when we went from like the first 2 floors, which were very much like dungeons, like just hallways of dungeons and rooms. And then the third one was also different. The third floor is also different. And then now we have the 4th floor. And so every floor has a different like theme. And so it's really interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I do feel like there were some parts that like the descriptions kind of, I felt like were like too in-depth. I kept finding my eyes skipping like ahead a little bit to try to get out of how much was being described, just because I couldn't focus on it. But like other than that, I really liked it. I liked the development between the characters, and you'll notice I'm not really saying much about like plot-wise, because spoilers, like I don't want to give away spoilers. But because of that, there's not really a lot I can say. Yeah, I enjoyed the development between a lot of the characters. That's really it. Or the undevelopment of characters, maybe. I like the story. I can't really say anything else. I gave it 4.5 stars. And I am really looking forward to when my spinny wheel will let me read book 4. Because if you're new, or if I just haven't talked about it in a while, which I don't think I have, Most of my like day-to-day decisions are made by using a spinning wheel or a random number generator. Just because I have like decision fatigue, and so it just makes my life easier, and my ADHD likes it. It likes the spontaneity. And so on my spinning wheel, I have my monthly TBR and then the series that I'm currently very invested in, which is the Dungeon Crawler Carl series and the Game Changers series that I am rereading. Well, I'm rereading Heat of Rivalry. I haven't read the other books in the series. So, my spinning wheel was very kind to me in January and landed on the Dungeon Crawler Carl series 3 times. But now, my spinning wheel wants me to read Heat of Rivalry, which I'm totally cool with. It's just a little bit of a mental shift. And yeah, when I play my TBR game for February, which I haven't done yet, I will add those books to the spinning wheel, and then we'll do it all again. But so that's how I decide what book I'm reading next. I know I've mentioned, like maybe in last week's video, that I'm like, oh, my spinning wheel said I'm reading this, but I don't think I actually like explained. And maybe I don't need to. Maybe whatever. I will be reading Heat of Rivalry next, so I'm gonna take it to work with me because I have a very light day at work today, which I'm excited about, but it's also like, it's one of those things of like, just because it's a light day doesn't mean that it's an easy day. I'm going to be stressed. So, yeah. So I'll probably start Heat of Rivalry today, and then I will continue listening to Count of Monte Cristo on my way to work, and hopefully I'm not frustrated too much so that I can listen to it on my drive home. But I will check with you hopefully tomorrow with an update of what actually happened. I finally listened to more of the Count of Monte Cristo, which is good because it'd been a week. So, yeah, I am officially halfway. I'm looking forward to when more action happens. Like, for people who don't know, the Count of Monte Cristo is a revenge story. At the beginning of the book, it is 16 years before, like, the actual revenge story happens. And through a series of events, Edmond Dante is falsely accused of being a Bonapartist, and he ends up going to prison for 16 years. Stuff happens, and he's able to escape, and then he's able to put himself in a position of being very wealthy and powerful, and he uses that to take revenge on the 3 men who landed him in prison and kind of ruined his life. Or at least the life he thought he was going to have. So, that's a very, like, short summary of the Count of Monte Cristo. It is a very long book. I think the one that I have is like 1,200 pages. And the audiobook is about 50 hours long. Almost 51, I think. So I'm halfway through it. And we're at the part where, like, Dante is putting things in motion for his revenge to happen, which I can appreciate. It's just there's a lot of setup. And there's so many conversations and so many people to keep track of. It's just a little bit, it's not boring, but at times it's a little bit hard to focus on. So, but I am still enjoying it. I want the action to come back, because like we had a good like chunk of like several hundred pages where it was like, oh, whoa, like there was so much happening. And now there is still so much happening, but it's all like behind the scenes. And we're privy to it, but it's just set up. So, yeah. But I'm still enjoying it. I'll listen to more tomorrow, and then I should listen more to Sunday. Because I will be going to the office, which I didn't do last week because of the weather. So, yeah, that's where that is. I did not read a physical book yesterday, but because I listened to the Count of Monte Cristo, I still count that as reading every day. So I'm very happy that I have still been keeping up with that. For people who don't know, I started reading every day, even if it's only like 10 pages, at the beginning of December. And because I wanted to see if it would, have an improvement on my reading more consistently, on because I noticed I essentially wasn't reading like at least physically reading until like Thursday every week, which is not great. But this has been working really well for me. I did take Heated Rivalry with me to work just in case, but I just didn't get to it because I was doing other stuff. I did start reading it today. I read about 70 pages. And Heated Rivalry is the second book in the Game Changers series, which is very popular right now because of the show. I did read Heated Rivalry maybe like 2 years ago. I really liked it. I think I gave it 5 stars. And I will probably give it 5 stars again. But I decided this time I was going to read the whole series. Because last time I only read Heated Rivalry. And so on New Year's Eve, I read Game Changer, which is the first book. Now I'm rereading Heated Rivalry. And I purchased the rest of the series. So I will get to those when fate allows me to. But Heated Rivalry is following Shane and Ilya, who are rivals from the very beginning of their NHL careers, even technically before their NHL careers. But what people don't know is that while the rivalry is accurate, they are rivals, they do not hate each other. In fact, they are secret lovers. And so it's following them throughout many years of the beginning years of their career. It starts in 2008, and then there are like some time jumps, and then the time jumps become like shorter and shorter and shorter as the book goes on because their relationship's deepening and they're more involved in each other's lives. So yeah, it's really good. The show did an amazing job, and I'm happy to be rereading it because I've been reading enough fanfic lately that I'm like, yeah, I want to read the actual book again. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. That's what I've done so far. So I'm gonna use my spinning wheel and see what I'll be doing next before the evening hits and I have some meetings to attend to. So hi everyone. Okay, I wanted to wrap up the vlog. I didn't film all weekend. I need to get better at that. But I did finish my reread of Heated Rivalry. I enjoyed it, of course. That's not a surprise. I looked and last time I read it, I gave it 4.5 stars. And I was reading it after I finished it, and I don't remember what the half star was about. I really enjoyed it. I love Shane and Ilya's relationship. I'm very excited to get to the long game eventually and read more of them. But yeah, I mean, so I give it 5 stars this time. And maybe it's because I have the recollection of the series like sort of like superimposing. Maybe, but I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed it. And so yeah, I give it 5 stars. Yep. And then the only other things that I listened to more of the Count of Monte Cristo, and I have like 15 hours left, which is pretty good out of a 50-hour book. I do have a prediction that it'll take me probably like halfway through February to finish it, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the Count of Monte Cristo's, manipulations and setting things up, and him just like intentionally but kind of casually just making people really uncomfortable. It's great. My dad asked me this morning, because we filmed the podcast episode about Euclid, which I read in last week's vlog. Yeah. And, my whole thing about how I don't like manipulative characters. And he's like, well, how do you feel about the Count? Because his whole thing is that he's manipulative. And I think the main difference of why I like the Count so much and why I'm enjoying the Count of Monte Cristo so much, despite it being about like a massive amount of manipulations in order for him to get revenge, is that I understand why. Like, we saw Edmond Dante before he was falsely accused, before he went to prison. We saw what he was like, and we saw the transformation when he escaped from prison and, you know, got the means to enact this revenge. Like, I understand why. With a character like Euclid or, you know, another Woodhouse character, Smith, who I also don't like, there's not a reason for them being manipulative. It just seems like they're doing it to screw people over, to varying degrees between two of them. Whereas, like, yes, the Count is screwing people over, but it's the people who screwed him over first. And he's also, there is benefit to other people involved who are not the three people he's getting revenge on. So, and like, there are some, like, bystanders that are getting sucked into that a little bit, but for the most part, it's like, that's a big thing. I'm like, there's a reason for that. He's not just doing it for funsies. So, yeah, so that's, I like it. I like revenge if I can understand it. Do I think it's healthy and will fix anything? No. But in this context, I am enjoying reading about it. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I read. I was very happy to read Heated Rivalry again, and looking forward to continuing that series. But yeah, that's about it. So leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click notification bell, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.